What about based upon what the leaders in the Democratic Party are saying? The Stacey Abrams and the Kamala Harrises and the so forth, calling Black people to come to the polls and vote against white supremacy and vote in favor of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Are they practicing, I'm sorry, I'm just being the devil's advocate here, what you call prescriptive racism, when they pay attention to the fact that outsized number of African-American men are prepared to give Donald Trump a second hearing? I mean, not a majority, but a much bigger number than you would have seen thinking about voting for a Republican in the past. And when they call attention to the people marching in Charlottesville and, the et cetera.
Well, if they want us to vote against white supremacy, then we should probably vote against them as well. Let me start here. The Democratic Party doesn't like me. Right? I've made that realization. I've had that realization in the past few years because I've always been, a registered Democrat. I don't know about that these days. They don't like me. Right. I'm a Black person who refuses to be a victim. That I can't be tolerated. Right. There's something wrong with me. I'm multiracially white, as some people will say.
I never heard that one either.
Yeah.
That's good. Multiracially white.
Yes.
Or like some of those Asians who are believers in merit.
Yes. I believe there's a professor at NYU who coined that term, and I'm blanking on her name right now. But yeah, multiracially white would be my label. And that's putting it nicely. We all know the less nice labels that they have for people like that. And the Democratic Party is no longer my party. They say things that offend me. They say things that I think are, dangerous for Black social mobility. And obviously they're doing it to get votes. Those people are the racists over there. No, not really. The racists are the ones who are saying that you can't make it because the world's against you, which is not true, in my opinion. Yeah. But if you want to get votes, a good way to do that is to scare people. Scare people into saying if they win, the racism is going to flood back like it was before. We're going to stop that, right? We're going to stop that racism from happening. No, not at all. I think they are bad news. They are bad for Black people. They're bad for minorities in general. So when Stacey Abrams or, Kamala Harris gets up and talks about this monster of racism, I tune them out because I will not wallow in negative emotionality based on scare tactics from them.
But somebody's going to say, okay, I see what you're saying about some of the problems with the way the Democrats talk about race, but they're the party of the working class. They're the party of the unions. They're the party. Whereas free market capitalism is the place where the big money and the big businessmen and all of that. It's the workers and it's the little guy and it's the Joe Blow. What about the welfare state and voting for the government to be an active agent in helping people and uplifting people and stuff like that? Don't African Americans have a huge stake based on our social location and what history has wrought in seeing a progressive, more generous provision, more social safety net, and somebody who's looking at what the little guy is struggling with than with Wall Street, Main Street, Wall Street. Democrats are Main Street, Republicans are Wall Street, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're allowed to curse on your show.
Yeah, you are.
But all that's bullshit. Yes, certainly. They are not the party of the working class. They haven't been for some time. They use rhetoric, sophistic rhetoric, to push that idea, but that idea is false. It is false. I think we need to start focusing on agency, start focusing on showing people that with the proper training, with the proper education, with the proper attitude, you can achieve your goals. The world is not out to get you, right? The Democratic Party, government in general can be a little too heavy-handed, but the Democratic Party is working like we're your parents, right? We're going to take care of you. We're doing this for your own good, right? We're being prescriptively racist for your own good, which is why white people now feel okay telling me how to be Black, right? They've been emboldened by this whole thing, this whole paternalistic take on race relations. And I think that's bad. I think it's infantilizing. I think DEI, contemporary DEI, is inherently infantilizing. And I think we need to introduce agency and, well, a lot of things, right? I talked about family and education and things like that. But I think we need to start focusing on those things. And I think we need to be pragmatic. The Democratic Party or the left, right, in general, they push a narrative of a social reality that things are a lot worse than they actually are. The main stat for something like this is how many unarmed Black people are shot by the police yearly, right? You ask people that, they'll talk about it's in the thousands,
Yeah.
right? It's not in the thousands. It's double digits,
Right.
right? I believe it's under 20, in many years, right? So that kind of social reality is antithetical to, well, the truth, right? It doesn't take into consideration empirical reality, and it's pushed for a reason, right? It's pushed to put people in a mindset that makes them say, I need this party or this side of the political spectrum to basically be a parental force and advocate for me because I can't advocate for myself. I think that's bad.